Part 11. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 101. Chapter 101 I'm back. Mu Qingjian slowly opened her eyes and saw the scene after her death before her rebirth. She clearly remembered that after the waiter exploded, she immediately activated the barrier protection. Then the painting style changed suddenly, and she saw her grandfather and the Mu family offering sacrifices to her and changing her fate against the will of heaven. She tried to stop them, but her body passed through theirs. "Grandpa, no, please don't do this." Looking at them one by one, they changed their fate against the will of heaven, and were punished by heaven, and fell to the ground one by one. Mu Qingjian came to her grandfather's side, knelt in front of him and burst into tears. "Grandpa, why do you do this? Why can you give up reincarnation for me? Why?" Chief Mu said something before he died, just facing her. "Yanur, live well. Please live well for yourself this time. Don't feel guilty or blame yourself. Live well is for us." "Grandfather." A golden light shone in front of her eyes, and Mu Qingjian had no choice but to close her eyes. When she woke up again, she was back in space. Everything in the space is growing, and the area seems to be getting bigger. Recalling what her grandfather said before he died, she gradually let go of her obsession with her previous life. She no longer blamed herself for this, and she was completely relieved at this time. She also realized it at this moment, and the spiritual power of space suddenly surged into her. She sat cross-legged on the ground, feeling like she was about to advance again. Half a moment later, she looked at her again. Her strength was already at the elementary level. But Dandan and Bingfeng suddenly upgraded. They knew that Mu Qingjian was back, and they immediately rushed into the space. Looking at her intact body, the little guy Dandan threw himself on her and cried loudly. "Master, where have you been?" "Yes. Master, you don't know how long you have been missing. How long have we been looking for you? Why did you suddenly disappear without a trace?" Bingfeng also said anxiously. Mu Qingjian touched their heads and said, "I'm sorry for making you worry. I'm fine. How long have I disappeared? Are Xiao and the others okay?" Dandan lay in her arms and shook his head. "Master, you have disappeared for almost a year. Originally, your grandfather told Xiao that you had something to do and went abroad, so he had no doubts. After all, we are still here, but as time went by, he also noticed something unusual. He ran away from home half a year ago to look for you, and finally learned about your disappearance and death. In the past 6 months, he has been training hard, and he has become more and more quiet and autistic. We haven't seen Xiao smile for half a year." Mu Qingjian blamed herself extremely. "I know, what about Grandpa and Han Yexuan killing them?" Egan continued, "Grandpa and Boy, I already thought that you were no longer alive, even though the master said that you must be fine. But they just thought that he was comforting them. After all, you disappeared in the explosion. The master has not given up looking for you. He has always believed that you are alive. In order to become stronger, Xiao has been practicing with the master, and his strength has improved by leaps and bounds." Mu Qingjian nodded and said, "Okay, I understand. I'll change my clothes. You go out and wait for me, and I'll go out later." "Okay, master." The Bo family was having dinner, and Grandma Bo saw that Mu Xiao had grown a lot taller this year. "But I have also lost a lot of weight, and my appearance has completely changed from a year ago. Xiao, eat more meat, don't eat well just because you practice Kung Fu. Grandma will feel bad if you do this." Mu Xiao looked at the chicken drumsticks in the bowl and remembered the days when he and Mu Qingjian ate chicken drumsticks together. He put down his chopsticks and said, "Grandma, I have grown up and I don't like eating chicken drumsticks anymore." Lao Bo didn't know what he was thinking. He probably missed her sister again. "Xiao, then you can eat something else." Your grandma is also worried about you losing weight. Well, I know, Grandpa. At this time Dandan and Bingfeng ran into his arms and pointed at the gate. Mu Xiao frowned in confusion, but still looked at the door they pointed at. Dandan, Bingfeng, what are you doing? There's nothing at the gate. Suddenly a tall girl with long black hair shawl appeared at the door. Her fair skin seemed to be plated with a layer of silver under the light, her cherry-colored lips were slightly pursed, and her white dress added brilliance to her cold and peerless appearance. Mu Xiao stood up in panic, somewhat unbelievable. Elder sister. Her smiling eyes were full of endearment. Xiao, I'm back. At this moment he believed that his beloved sister was really back. Sister, are you really my sister? Mu Xiao hugged her and felt the faint fragrance on her body, and then he realized that it was not a dream. Mu Qingjian hugged him and found that he had grown a lot taller. My Xiao has grown up a lot. Isn't my sister almost unable to hold her? Sister, Xiao misses you so much, I really miss you so much. Looking at Mu Xiao who was hugging him and crying, although he is so old, my Xiao still can't change his habit of crying. He sniffed and wiped away his tears. No. Xiao has rarely cried this year. Grandma Bo shed tears. It would be great if Xiao Yan comes back, it would be great if she comes back, everyone misses you. Uncle Bo patted her shoulder with red eyes, don't be reckless in the future. Don't worry about other people's lives and let yourself get hurt. Grandpa would rather you be a bad person than something like this happen again. Mu Qingjian nodded, okay, I won't be like this anymore. I'm back, I'm so hungry. Do you have any chicken legs? I haven't eaten the chicken drumsticks made by Grandma for a long time, and I'm almost going crazy. Yes, there are chicken legs. Come on, Grandma will go to the kitchen to get the chicken legs for you. Grandma Bo went to the kitchen happily. Grandma Bo then put a bowl of chicken drumsticks on the table and said with a smile, eat it quickly. Mu Xiao took the bowl and filled the rice for her. Sister, eat more, you are too thin. Haha, okay, Xiao, you should eat more. After saying that, he picked up a big chicken drumstick for him. He held the chicken legs between his legs and ate happily. Sister, the chicken legs are delicious. Haha, is that so? My sister also needs to eat several. The two elders looked at the siblings with happy faces. While the others were finishing their meal, Han Yexuan suddenly appeared at the door. Qing you're back. He held her and felt her breath. I knew you would come back, just be okay. I'm sorry for making you worry, Xian, I'm fine. Han Yexuan let her go, don't do this again, silly girl. I don't care about other people's lives. I only want you to protect yourself. Looking at her and Mr. Bo saying the same thing, she knew that they both cared about her. Okay, not anymore. Bo Yi was very happy to see her back. The family got together and chatted for a long time, until it was late at night before they went back to their houses to sleep. Mu Qingjian sat on the sofa. Xian, you should know who did it that day. It's Mo Ling. Although there is no evidence that it is her. But all kinds of weird things happened because of her. During this year's monitoring of her, it was discovered that there is a system in her body, and that she is a reborn person. Her face changed, and she didn't expect that she was also a reborn person. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 102. Chapter 102. Let's get married. Mu Qingjian is now full of curiosity about this Mo Ling, which can also explain why she was in the mysterious world. She always finds the place where spiritual plants are planted in advance, and as expected, it has something to do with her system. And the reason why she tried so hard to kill herself was probably because of Mo Qing Cheng. But for a man, she could ignore the lives of other people and create such a big explosion. It also shows how dark and vicious her heart is. Now that she's back, it's time to settle the score between them. Anyone who wants to kill her, then she prepares herself for her new destiny. Han Yexuan sat next to her and hugged her. Ching-er, your cultivation has improved again. Mu Qingjian leaned in his arms. Yes. I can be considered a blessing in disguise. In fact, thanks to her, I was able to go back to the past and see some things clearly. And Xian, I want to tell you something. In fact, I am also reborn. Zer, I don't want to hide this from you. Fool, it doesn't matter whether you are a reborn person or not, or where you come from. I don't care, I just know that you are the one I want to wait for. Mu Qingjian said with a smile, Xian, when I am 20, let's get married. When Han Yexuan heard her talk about getting married, he suddenly felt a little nervous and happy. Ching-er, are you telling the truth? She held his face tenderly, lowered her head and kissed him. Really, because you are the person I want to live my whole life with. At this moment, he suddenly looked like a boy who had just fallen in love, picking up Mu Qingjian and spinning her around happily. Ha ha. Ching-er, I won't let you down. In the early morning, the whole world begins to become clearer, and the sunlight shines through with a faint aura. Sprinkle it gently on the balcony, giving it a pleasing feeling. Mu Qingjian opened her eyes and looked at Han Yexuan, who was sleeping soundly. What caught her eyes was his smooth and white face. Those thin, lightly pursed lips, with sharp edges. The long black vertical hair and the long and slightly curled eyelashes are all so delicate that they are deeply fascinating. At this time, he was sleeping in an extremely lazy way, with his warm and jade-like hands gently resting on her waist. The black hair was spread out but not messy, adding a bit of evil charm. The nightgown seemed to collapse on him, exposing most of his chest. The belt was tied loosely around his waist, as if it would fall apart at any time if pulled. Open normally. Her eyes couldn't help but look down. She didn't expect that even though he had a devilish face, he had such a great figure. Suddenly Han Yexuan turned over and pressed her into his arms, and said lazily in a low and slightly hoarse voice, Ching-er, don't you know you shouldn't move around in a man's arms so early in the morning? My husband is very afraid of me. I want to eat you before you are 20. Mu Qingjian was caught red-handed by him, and her cheeks slowly turned red. I didn't, I just wanted to turn over. Yes, that's it. Oh, really, isn't Ching-er coveting her husband's face and body? Mu Qingjian got into bed and said unconvincingly, who is coveting your beauty? You, don't even think about slandering me. Han Yexuan pursed his lips and chuckled, okay, I falsely accused you. In fact, I was coveting my Ching-er for my husband. She slowly stretched her head out from the quilt, her face slightly red because she was covered in the quilt. The slightly messy long hair has a hint of charm, and the fragrant shoulders slightly reveal the fair and delicate collarbone. There was something strange in his eyes, and he couldn't help but kiss those tender red lips, and he didn't want to leave for a long time. Sister, get up and eat. Mu Xiao opened the door and saw his sister kissing him, looking at them with confusion on his face. Sister, are you and your brother-in-law making out? Mu Qingjian was so frightened that she pushed Han Yexuan away and looked at Mu Xiao with a red face. Xiao, why do you get up so early? Sister, it's 7 o'clock now. I've already done my morning exercises. Sister, are you and your brother-in-law having a baby? Xiaoli, I said that if two adults kiss and sleep together, their belly will grow, and then they will have a baby. Sister, are you having a baby? Mu Xiao said excitedly with eyes. She arranged her clothes. Ahem, Xiao, please go downstairs and wait for sister. Sister will get up soon. Mu Xiao, who did not receive a reply, pouted unhappily and said, okay. Then sister, brother-in-law, and Xiao are waiting for you downstairs. Before leaving, he didn't forget to close the door for her, and he ran downstairs excitedly. As soon as he left, Mu Kinjian beat him a few times and said, "It's all your fault. It's okay now, let Xiao see it." Han Yexuan held her hand and said, "Yes, it's my fault. I'll lock the door next time." "Huh, ignore you." After saying that, he got up and walked to the bathroom. Bo Yi looked at him and drank milk. "Xiao, where is your sister? Why haven't you come down for breakfast? I didn't expect to see you for a year. Has your sister become so lazy?" Mu Xiao sat down obediently and said happily, "My sister and brother-in-law are kissing in the room. They just gave birth to a baby together, and my sister said she would come down soon." Boy, I was so frightened that he spurted out the milk. "Ahem, what did you say? Your sister was in the same room with him doing something like that?" He said with a disgusted look, "Uncle, you almost sprayed milk on my clothes." Bo Yi immediately apologized, "Haha, I'm sorry." The news was so exciting that he was a little frightened. What were they doing? Xiao saw it. Mr. Bo and Grandma Bo were obviously surprised by his words. They didn't know what to say for a long time until they saw Mu Kinjian and Han Yexuan walking downstairs together. They completely believed what Mu Xiao said, even though Mr. Bo liked him very much. But after all, the two are not married, so it is inevitable that they will disagree. "Ahem, that's Xiao Yan, Xiao Xian. You are still young, some things should wait until you get married. Young people cannot act on impulse without considering the consequences." Bo Lao expressed his thoughts implicitly. Mu Kinjian, who was not blushing at first, suddenly turned red and looked at Han Yexuan with complaining eyes. Han Yexuan smiled and said, "Grandpa, don't worry, I won't touch Qing'er until I get married to her. After all, I really want to marry Qing'er, so I will be responsible for her." Once Bo Lao heard that nothing happened to them, he laughed happily. "Haha, okay, it's good that you know." Grandma Lan greeted with a smile, "Come, Xiao Yan, Xiao Xian, come and have breakfast." Han Yexuan pulled out a chair for her. "Okay, Grandma, you guys can eat too." Since she disappeared for a year, he has been living in Bo's house, taking care of Bo Lao and the others, and training Mu Xiao and Boyi. So Mr. Bo and the others are very optimistic about him. After all, no one can do what he does. He truly loves Mu Kinjian. After having breakfast, Han Yexuan also left Bo's house and went to the company. A lot has happened this year. Yeking Group Company is now firmly in the first place and has become the strongest company recognized by everyone. Countless companies are eager to cooperate with Yeking Group, and many people have tried to seduce Han Yexuan many times in order to get cooperation with him. But the price is very heavy, so everyone knows that the president of Yeking Group does not like women. Some people also gave him men, and as a result, the company declared bankruptcy. So everyone knows that Han Yexuan is an asexual person who is disliked by both men and women. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 103. Chapter 103 Return to School Storm. The next morning, Bo Lao came back when she came back yesterday. He called the school for her and informed her that she could continue to go to Class F. Wear the uniform of Divinity Academy and drive to school alone. Boyi is already in his junior year. He only needs to go back to school during exams. The rest of the time, he is busy with other work. She didn't expect that a year had passed since she was in coma. To her, it only felt like a few days. I don't know if Tanyuj and Yin Kinja are okay. Will they be shocked by her arrival? After all, he has disappeared to them. When she drove her cool car to the school gate, The guard looked at the proud and unfamiliar car and its license plate number. "Hello, please show me your student ID." Mu Kinjian handed over her student ID card, and the guard looked shocked. "Okay, you can go in, welcome back." She took back her student ID card and said, "Thank you." When she parked the car, got out of the car and walked out, everyone looked at her. Black and soft long hair, a pair of hook-sole-reister eyes, the slender eyelashes slightly raised, the skin without any flaws is like snow, as if it will break when it bounces. Her exquisite facial features were perfectly presented on her beautiful face, and everyone was surprised at her beauty, because her beauty made it impossible for people to look away. It was simply too exquisite to be picky. The freshmen looked at her in surprise. "Ah, so beautiful. Why haven't I seen this young lady before?" The boy shook his head and said, "I don't know if I'm a freshman, but she's even more beautiful than Zhang Mensu, the pretty girl in the junior school." "Oh my god, no, she seems to be Mu Kinji, and could it be that she is back?" One of the men was extremely shocked. Who is Mu Kinjian?" The freshman looked confused. Seeing their confusion, he quickly explained, "She is the goddess of our school, but she suddenly stopped going to school a year ago. With her here, it is Zhang Mensu's turn to be the school beauty." The goddess's face. "Okay, the goddess is back and I'm going to tell everyone." Mu Kinjian was walking on the road and watched everyone stop and look at her. Suddenly, she was not used to not wearing a mask. After all, after she has cultivated to this level, her appearance will naturally become more refined. Her appearance will also be customized to look like when she was 18 years old, and it will only become more and more refined. Unless she is still unable to advance after thousands of years, then she will start to age slowly. When everyone saw her walking to the classroom of Class F, sophomore year, everyone stopped following her. Soon things started to spread around the school, and there was a pretty girl in Class F, a sophomore. She is 10 times more beautiful than the school beauty Zhang Mensu, completely indescribable. When she walked into the class, everyone stopped what they were doing and froze. He stood up suddenly, his eyes turned red instantly, and said in a trembling voice, "Master." Mu Kinjian looked back and smiled, "Well, I'm back." Tanyuj was so excited that he strode forward and hugged her. "Wow, Master, you are finally back. I knew you were fine, I knew." Looking at him crying so hard, he couldn't speak smoothly, so he had to pat his shoulder. "I'm fine, I made you worry." The people surrounding the classroom screamed loudly in an instant. "Wow, are they a couple?" When Yin Kinja and Yu Qingqing walked into the classroom in confusion, they didn't know what happened today. Why were there a bunch of people surrounding Class F outside the classroom? It took them a long time to get in. As a result, they saw Tanyuj as soon as they came in, holding a tall and slender girl. Yu Qingqing's face changed drastically, and she looked at the scene with some confusion. Yin Kinja stepped forward and patted him. "What are you doing, Tanyuj? Who is she?" He looked up and saw Yu Qingqing, immediately let go of Mu Kinjian, and said a little embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, Master, I'm a little too happy." They were so surprised when they heard him calling him Master. Mu Kinjian turned around and whispered, "Hey, I haven't been back for a year." "Xiao and Qingqing, you don't recognize me anymore." "Ah, Xiaoyan." Yin Kinja happily jumped into her arms. Fortunately, she hugged her immediately and said, "I thought you had forgotten me." She hugged her happily and burst into tears within a few seconds. "Wow, we have you, Xiao Yanyan, we have you, I miss you so much, we thought you, we have you." Looking at Yin Kinja, who was crying out of breath, he could only support her with one hand and rub her head with the other. "Okay. Stop crying. I'm back now. Stop crying." Yu Qingqing also started crying at the side. Tanyuj saw her crying and had no choice but to hug her. "Stop crying, Master is back." She leaned into his arms. Well, I'm so happy, it turns out that Xiao Yanyan is back. Zhang Xingrui was alone with red eyes. She finally came back. Yin Qinji cried for a while before she realized that she was being held by Mu Qinjian in an ambiguous posture. She hurriedly came down and said a little shyly, Xiao Yanyan, why didn't you remind me? You're so embarrassed. Mu Qinjian rubbed the tip of her nose. It's okay. I can hold you, so you don't have to be shy. Yu Qingqing walked up to her and said, Xiao Yanyan, welcome back. Everyone misses you. She walked up to her, stretched out her hands and took her into her arms. Well, I'm back and I made you worry. She leaned into her and couldn't help crying. Good. Zhang Xingrui patted her and said, Qinjian, you are finally willing to come back, do you know? Every time they talk about you, they want to cry, and I am almost annoyed to death. Mu Qinjian burst out laughing, haha, really? So you love me so much? Several people were obviously frightened by her words, and they didn't expect that she would still joke. The classmates immediately gathered around Mu Qinjian, and everyone greeted her happily. Feeling their enthusiasm, she could only say warmly, thank you. Thank you for your concern. Teacher Yan saw that his classroom was surrounded by a group of people. What are you doing? Class is about to start, everyone should go back to their classes. The classmate saw the head teacher of Class F coming, so he had to leave reluctantly. Teacher Yan looked confused. What's wrong with these children? Why are they hanging around here so early in the morning? When he entered the classroom, he saw everyone gathered around and had not yet returned to his seat. Class is about to begin, why are you still gathering around here? Everyone go back to your seats. Mu Qinjian smiled politely, hello, Teacher Yan. Teacher Yan was so frightened that he dropped his books. Student Mu. Yes, teacher. It's been a long time, teacher. I will continue to go back to school starting today. After saying that, he picked up his book and handed it to him. Okay, just come back. He took the book and said with a look of relief. Because of her arrival in this class, everyone was distracted. Teacher Yan knew that they were too curious, so he let them study freely in this lesson and silently exited the classroom. When he returned to the office, the other teachers immediately gathered around him. Old Yan. I heard that Mu Qinjian is back, right? Looking at the gossiping teachers, yes. She's back. The other teachers all expressed their happiness. After all, there was such a powerful student who was liked by all the teachers. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 104. Chapter 104 Jealousy. On this day, because of Mu Qinjian's return, it was on the school's hot search list one after another. Everyone knew that she was back and her face was healed. In the junior class, several girls gathered around Zhang Mensu. Lu Ling whispered, Mensu, I heard that she is back, the former student of Class F. Zhang Mensu put down the pen in her hand. Who is she? After all, she had only transferred here for half a year, so she didn't know much about this school. Lu Ling quickly explained, she is the granddaughter of the Bo family and Boi's niece. I heard that she is Han Yexuan's fiancée who disappeared for a year. Mensu, don't you like the CEO of Yejing Group? She is his fiancée. Zhang Mensu's expression changed drastically, ever since she was rescued by Han Yexuan abroad. He was fascinated by that mysterious and noble temperament, and one day she saw his appearance under the mask. So from that moment her heart beat for him, she fell in love with him, and it was only such a good man who deserved herself as an immortal cultivator. So she decided to transfer to a school in China regardless of her family's opposition, just to have better contact with him. She knew that he had a fiancée, but according to her knowledge, didn't she die in an explosion? Why did he come back alive again? Zhang Mensu's eyes flashed with viciousness. Han Yexuan belonged to her, and no one was allowed to taint her man. Mu Qingjian, right? People who are already dead should not come back. Now that she's back, don't blame her for being rude. Mu Qingjian didn't know that she had just come back and there was another person who wanted her life. There is also a love rival of the immortal cultivator, and it is because of Han Yexuan. When a few people went to the 9th floor for dinner, they happened to meet Mu Qingjian. Lu Ling whispered in her ear, "Mensu, the tallest girl among the people in front is Mu Qingjian." Zhang Mensu bumped into her on purpose, and then said with an apologetic look, "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I soiled your clothes." Mu Qingjian looked at the stains on her clothes and said, "Well, it's okay. Remember to look up at the road next time." She could hardly hold back the smile on her lips. Is this woman hinting that she is short? Haha, okay, junior sister, do you want me to give you a piece of clothing? Mu Qingjian threw the ice cream into the trash can. "Xiao, you go and order now, I'll go to the bathroom." Zhang Mensu looked at her and ignored her and left, very angry. She now had to admit that she was indeed very beautiful. I heard that she was disfigured before, but now her face is healed. Either she had plastic surgery, or she was definitely not an ordinary person like her. Wow, the two school beauties met, but I think Mu Qingjian is more beautiful. After all, her looks are incredible. Haha, I am also on her side. The goddess is more beautiful after all. This beauty is not comparable to Zhang Mensu's. Those sitting at the dining table looked at the current school beauties and former school beauties standing together. She was instantly suppressed by Mu Qingjian. It seemed that Zhang Mensu's position as the school beauty was giving way. She naturally heard what they whispered. After all, she was an immortal cultivator. She asked Lu Ling and the others to find a seat first, and she walked towards the bathroom. After Mu Qingjian liked her, she was about to leave, but was stopped by Zhang Mensu, who arrived. "Huh, do you need to come here to apologize?" She snorted coldly, "You're overthinking, Mu Qingjian. I don't care if you had plastic surgery or how you recovered. I tell you, you'd better stay away from my man, he is mine. It's up to you, you are not worthy of a plastic surgery monster. Do you have to know yourself?" She hugged her hands and said coldly, "Your man? Who is it? Tell me." Zhang Mensu said in a somewhat impatient tone, "Are you pretending to be stupid with me? I tell you Han Yexuan is my man, Zhang Mensu, stay away from him." Mu Qingjian's eyes suddenly turned cold and she grabbed her neck with one hand. Zhang Mensu was forced to step back step by step, her eyes full of reluctance, and she pinned her against the wall. Her spiritual power was unable to resist. She was really not an ordinary person. "Xian is your man, you are so loud. Your name is Zhang Mensu, right? You are worthy of saying such a thing in front of me. Don't worry about not being your man. Even if you are a late-stage foundation builder, you are worthy of saying such a thing. If..." Then he threw the person to the ground, washed his hands and left, as if he had touched something dirty. Ahem. Zhang Mensu lay on the ground and coughed desperately. She thought she was really going to die just now. She raised her head and looked at her leaving back unwillingly, and roared, "Mu Qingjian, Zhang Mensu, will never give up. It doesn't matter if your cultivation level is higher than mine. Just wait and see." Lu Ling and others waited for a long time but did not see her coming back, so they called, "Hey, Mensu, where have you been and why haven't you come back yet?" Zhang Mensu said impatiently, "I have something to go home for. You can eat by yourselves. It's in my name." After that, she hung up the phone. Lu Ling was puzzled, but she said it would be fine if she just paid the bill. After all, the food on the 9th floor was not that expensive, and she would not want to eat there. Yin Qingja and others saw her coming back. "Xiao Yanyan, are you okay?" Mu Qingjian forced a smile and said, "It's okay, let's eat." She felt a little unhappy, indescribable, and a little angry. She knew it was not Han Yexuan's fault, but she just felt unhappy. At the end of the day, she was a little absent-minded. It wasn't until after school that she said goodbye to them and left in a hurry. Yinkinja and others looked at her. What's wrong with Xiao Yanyan? She seems absent-minded since lunch. A few people shook their heads and sighed, I don't know. Just wait until tomorrow to ask her. Sent a message and learned that he was still at the company, so she drove directly to his company. When everyone saw a stunning beauty walking into the Yeking group, they all stopped and looked at her. The receptionist swallowed subconsciously, Miss, what can I do for you? I see Han Yexuan. Another receptionist at the front desk said disdainfully, oh. Another person who admires our president, sorry miss, we will not let you go up without the consent of the president. At this time, a charming woman in a business suit came over and said, hello, is this Miss Mu? Mu Qingjian turned around and looked at this charming beauty. She knew she was the woman from the auction. Yes, hello, I'm here to see Xian. Several female receptionists saw her and immediately said politely, hello, Manager Han. Han Dongyu nodded, hello, Madam President, my name is Han Dongyu, please come with me. Then he said to the arrogant and domineering receptionist just now, you can go to the finance department to collect your salary and leave. She is the CEO's fiancée Mu Qingjian. If she comes in the future, just let her come up. The female receptionist looked regretful and begged. You have to know how much energy and money she spent to join Yeking Group, but now they are gone. Mu Qingjian did not plead for her, after all, she was not a bad person. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 105. Chapter 105. Are you jealous? Mu Qingjian looked at Han Dongyu. You and Han Dongling are the same family, right? Han Dongyu said respectfully, yes, Madam President, Dongling is my cousin. Well, just call me by my name, it's weird to call me the president's wife. Okay Qingjian, the president is inside, I won't go in, you guys have a good chat. Mu Qingjian nodded and smiled, okay Dongyu, thank you just now. You are welcome. She opened the door of the office and saw Han Yexuan sitting in a chair and busy. He looked up and saw her coming. Jing what's wrong with you today? Are you missing me because you are so anxious to see me? I didn't miss you. I came to you today just to ask you something, she said with some dissatisfaction. Han Yexuan pulled her to the sofa and sat down. What's going on? Mu Qingjian suddenly asked with some embarrassment, during the year I was away. Did you meet any woman who confessed to you? Huh? Could it be that you came here today because of this matter, so Jing you are jealous now? He thought something big was going on, but it turned out he was jealous. She no longer held it in and asked angrily, who is Zhang Mensu? Why does she know you and tell me that you are her man? He frowned in displeasure. She told you this, Jing I just saved her life. Jing don't listen to her nonsense, I just cooperate with her family, and I am just a member of her family who saved her, just beg me. I see, anyway, you should stay away from that woman in the future, and you actually said something like that. Han Yexuan hugged her. Funny, my Jing turns out to care about this so much. She's even jealous. Mu Qingjian leaned into his arms. Huh, you have the nerve to say that. As soon as I came back, someone came to show off in front of me and deliberately soiled my clothes. You said that you can make people fascinated even when you wear a mask. If not wearing a mask doesn't mean you're a bunch of women. Okay, my fault, Jing she has actually seen my face. Don't worry, I don't dare to be interested in others. This time she finally understood, reached out and took off his mask, pinching his face. I know, who made my family Xian so outstanding. Han Yexuan couldn't help but scratch the tip of her nose when he saw her anger disappearing. Fool, don't be jealous of other women in the future. Because they are not worthy of my Jing or being angry, do you understand? She put her arms around his neck and said, okay, I understand. Xian, are you done? Do you want to go have dinner together? Okay, I'll take Jing to a place where the food is pretty good. He put on his mask again and held her hand. He left the office and said to Han Dongyu, I'm going to get off work first, and I'll leave the rest to you. Okay, President. The two walked hand in hand and left Yejing Group, with all the staff looking at their backs. Oh my God, who is that girl, so beautiful? I've never heard of the president falling in love, but that young lady is so beautiful, and I suddenly feel that the president's vision is too high. Ah, she is so good looking, isn't she a star? Her looks are as good as those of a star in the entertainment industry. Wyatt pushed up his glasses. She is the CEO's fiancée Mu Qingjian, the rich daughter of the Bo family. She only came back recently, so there is no need to make a fuss. Wow, that's it? The two of them came to an antique private room, and the special dishes he ordered were all her favorites. Jing, do you want to drink spiritual wine? Mu Qingjian's eyes lit up. Is there any spiritual wine? Yes. It's been a long time since I drank spiritual wine. Han Yexuan asked someone to go to the wine store to get the best spiritual wine. After getting the wine, he poured a glass for her. She took the glass and took a sip. What a spiritual wine. The aroma of the wine is coming to your nose. After one sip, the warm spiritual power surrounds your dantian. Xian, you opened this shop, right? Jing is so smart. Yes, this shop is opened in the name of Mr. Han, and the spiritual wine is also made by Mr. Han. Don't drink too much, after all, it is spiritual wine and has a strong stamina. It's okay, I can drink pretty well. When the dishes were served, Mu Qingjian saw that they were all her favorite dishes. Wow, Xian, how did you know I like these dishes? Touched her head, because I want to be Jing'er's husband, so I must know everything about Jing'er. She blushed as she ate the vegetables. You're the only one with a poor mouth, so go ahead and eat. Haha, okay. Seeing that she was shy, he stopped teasing her. Mu Qingjian, who was full after drinking and eating, was slowly getting more drunk. Han Yexuan drove her to the nearby seaside for a ride. She looked at the sea and couldn't help but sigh how beautiful it was. Mu Qingjian got out of the car, took off her shoes, and happily ran towards the seaside. Ah, it's so comfortable, come with me, Xian, the sand is so soft. He took off his shoes, walked to her side, and watched her kicking the sea water like a child. At this moment, his heart was deeply attracted by her again. His Jing'er should live such a carefree life. Wow, Xian, come and look, there is such a big conch. She held up the conch and smiled happily. Well, no matter how beautiful she is, she's not as good looking as my Jing'er. He looked at her with affectionate eyes. She just wanted to stand up, but her head was so dizzy that she almost fell down. Han Yexuan quickly hugged her waist and said, you don't believe me when I tell you not to drink so much. Hee, I'm fine. He squatted down and said, come on. Let's go home. Mu Qingjian jumped on his back mischievously, and he steadied himself and patted her butt. Don't make trouble, Jing'er, be good. With this shot, she immediately calmed down. In fact, she was too shy to move. You, how could you take a picture of me? Well, I took the picture, do you want to take it back? I don't want that. She leaned her head on his back, smelling his scent, and couldn't help but fall asleep. Since she lived not far away, Han Yexuan asked someone to drive the car back and carried her back like this. A few people looked at Mu Qingjian sleeping on his back and whispered, what's wrong with Xiao Yan? It's okay. She drank too much and fell asleep. I'll take her upstairs first. Lao Bo nodded, okay, you go and rest first. Putting her on the bed, Han Yexuan walked downstairs. Bo Lao looked at him and said, Xiao Xian. I heard that the Zhang family wanted to bring you and Zhang Mensu together not long ago. What do you think? Han Yexuan poured him a cup of tea and said, Grandpa Bo, I am not interested in her, and there is no reason to continue to cooperate with the Zhang family now. Thinking of her running up to Jing'er today and saying something that made her unhappy, he thought there was no need for him to continue cooperating with the Zhang family. Bo Lao said with a pleased look on his face, is this good? After all, the Zhang family is powerful. Will your doing this cause them to retaliate? Grandpa Bo, don't worry. They don't have this ability yet. You don't need to worry about these things. I will be with you for the rest, so don't worry. Okay, just make your decision. I'm just afraid that they will cause trouble for Xiao Yan. Han Yexuan comforted her, Grandpa Bo, don't worry. Jing'er's strength is not bad, she will protect herself, and I will protect her too. He naturally knows his concerns, but he will not allow such a thing to happen. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 106. Chapter 106, Being Hit. In the dead of night, Mu Qingjian suddenly felt something strange and immediately rolled out of bed. Who's out there? Come out. A figure slowly walked out. I haven't seen you for a long time, Xiao Jing'er. Do you miss me? It's you, Bai Yushan. Didn't you leave country H? Why did you come to my house? He rushed forward and hugged her. Where have you been this year? Do you know how hard it was for me to find you? Her sudden disappearance left him a little at a loss. He had been searching for her for so long before he saw her, and her disappearance almost made him possessed. He would be a little more relieved if he didn't know that she was fine and that Han Yexuan was still here. It was only in the past few days that he suddenly felt her breath, and he woke up. Mu Qingjian tried hard to push him away, but she was weaker than him. Let me go. Let me hold you for a while, please, he said with a pleading tone. After a while, he finally let her go. I'm sorry, I lost my temper. Just hope you're okay. Well, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. If there's nothing wrong, you can go back. A man and a woman alone in the same room in the middle of the night will be misunderstood. After all, I already have a relationship, and I don't want him to misunderstand that I have a relationship with you. What's the relationship? Bai Yushan smiled sarcastically. He just misunderstood, so what does it have to do with me? Xiao Jing'er cares so much about his feelings, what about me? Have you ever cared about my feelings? Mu Qingjian looked at the pain on his face and said, Bai Yushan, I care about him because I love him. And to me, you are just someone I have met a few times, so you and him cannot be compared. He suddenly grabbed her shoulders crazily. When will you remember me? I, Bai Yushan, am the one you love. He, Han Yexuan, is the one who ruined our relationship. When will you remember me? Huge spiritual power fluctuations shook Bai Yushan away, and he fell steadily. Han Yexuan stretched out his arm and hugged Mu Qingjian. Bai Yushan, I told you, stay away from her, you don't deserve it. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, revealing an evil smile. Ha ha, Han Yexuan, you are still so despicable and shameless to carry out raids. If you can, fight. I have seen you unhappy for a long time. Han Yexuan sneered, as you wish. Looking at the disappearing figures of the two people, Mu Qingjian realized and hurriedly chased after them. By the time she arrived at the scene, the area was completely devastated, and she couldn't enter because of the barrier. Now she finally knew how far her own strength was compared to Han Yexuan and Bai Yushan. He, Bai Yushin, was indeed not simple either. Now she even more suspected that they were not from this world at all. In the barrier, their figures are too fast to be seen with the naked eye. If you are an ordinary person, you may only see two lightnings flying in the sky. A cold smile appeared on the corner of Bai Yushin's mouth, and he looked at Han Yexuan in front of him with a hint of mockery. You are nothing more than that. Han Yexuan then waved hard, and huge thunder and lightning rushed towards Bai Yushin. Bai Yushin then fought back with all his strength. The wind roared, and the shocking magic power collided with the thunder and lightning, creating a violent explosion. The air waves spread rapidly like ripples, destroying everything nearby, including wooden leaves and ancient trees. The shock wave shattered the ground, and a huge crater with a radius of 30 feet appeared on the ground instantly. It can be seen that the power of the impact was very terrifying. While the two were fighting really fiercely, clouds rolled in the air, and the sky suddenly turned strangely. The two of them stopped at the same time and looked at the sky, which became calm again. Mu Qingjian was frightened by this scene. What happened just now, and why did the sky change? Who are they? Even the heavenly Dao came out after a fight. After the barrier disappeared, she came to Han Yexuan's side and asked, Xian, are you okay? Qing I'm fine, let's go back. Han Yexuan looked at Bai Yushin and said, that's it for today. Neither you nor I want to be driven away. I won't be sneaking around in the future. Humph, I'll let you go this time. I will try my best next time. Bai Yushin looked at their leaving figures and clenched his hands. I said, I won't give up easily. When the two of them returned home, they said, Xian, you and Bai Yushin are not from this world, right? The law of heaven was driving you away just now, right? Han Yexuan knew that he had been exposed at this time, so he had no intention of hiding anything. Yes, Bai Yushin and I come from the same world. As for that world, Qing will know it later. You have to know that I will not hurt you. Mu Qingjian nodded. After all, everyone has secrets, so it's okay if he doesn't want to tell them. Plus he has never hurt himself, so she believes him. In the middle of the night, Mu Qingjian has been practicing in space. After all, after watching the two of them fight today, she knew how weak her own strength was. Compared with them, I am still far behind them. In order to be able to stand by his side, she must become stronger and stronger. Dandan looked at her and said, Bingfeng, Master, what's going on? It feels like I've been hit. I was really shocked. After all, the male master's strength is really terrifying. And Bai Yushin is as strong as the male master, so I understand the master's desire to become stronger. So the two of us have to become stronger so that we won't lag too far behind our master. Being comfortable for too long will make people lazy. In this way, the two little guys began to practice hard, not wanting to fall too far behind their master. When Mu Qingjian finished practicing, she saw Dandan and Bingfeng, who were also practicing hard, but did not disturb them. After all, she made a contract with them, and she knew what they were thinking. Mu Xiao looked at her coming downstairs and greeted her happily. Sister, wake up. My brother-in-law got up early today and taught me new skills. He rubbed his head and said, really? Then you have to study hard. My sister will ask you to hand in your homework when the time comes. He, okay, sister. Mu Qingjian looked at him, Xian, aren't you busy today? I'm busy, I'll deal with some things later, so I'll leave later. Bo Lao said solemnly, Xiao Xian, if you can't handle something well, tell me. He nodded, okay, Grandpa Bo, Qing I'm going to the company first. Okay, be careful on the road. When Han Yexuan came to the company, the Zhang family brought Zhang Mensu to Yeking Group. Zhang Yiwan sat on the chair with a serious face. Han Yexuan, what do you mean by canceling all cooperative relationships? Han Yexuan kept tapping his fingers on the table, You have to ask your good daughter Jiang Mensu about this. There is no need for us to continue to cooperate. Bang, a huge sound of slapping the table sounded. He roared angrily, Han Yexuan, don't forget it. Offending our Jiang family will do you no good, let's go. Jiang Mensu looked at him reluctantly, Brother Xian, is it worth it for her? It's worth it, and please call me Mr. Han. I'm not your brother, and I don't have a sister like you, Han Yexuan said impatiently. Han Dongyu stepped forward and said, Miss Jiang, please come back. Our president has a meeting to hold, so it's not convenient to entertain you. Bian Dongyu watched her leave. Master, is this really good? Well, please pay attention to the Jiang family, and I will take care of other things. Yes, Master. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Luo Meyer. Chapter 107. Chapter 107 Overestimating One's Own Capabilities. Mu Qingjian finished her breakfast and said, Grandpa, Xiao, I'm going to school first. Mu Xiao held her hand and looked at her expectantly. Sister, you can send me to school today. I am already in the 3rd grade of elementary school. Hey, Xiao, you skipped a grade. He smiled and touched his head, because it's very simple. I know it well, so after passing all the exams, I entered the 3rd grade. Wow, Xiao is great. Let's go. My sister will take you to school today. Grandma Bo handed her school bag to Xiao and said, Xiao Yan. Pay attention to safety when driving. Mu Qingjian held his hand and said, Okay Grandma, I understand. When she sent him to the school gate, all the children looked at her beside Mu Xiao intently. At this time, a boy came up behind him and asked, Xiao, who is she? Azaa, this is my sister, she just came back recently. She leaned over and looked at the boy, hello. I am his sister. Please take good care of him in the future. The boy nodded shyly, okay. Mu Qingjian said goodbye to him, okay, Xiao, sister is leaving first. Liang Zi came to him happily, Xiao, your sister is so beautiful. Mu Xiao said with a little arrogance, humph, of course, she is my sister. Wow, I'm so envious, I don't have a sister. He thought for a while, that's it? You can also call me sister, sister. Great, thank you Xiao. When she came to school, she seemed to be getting used to being watched by everyone again. Xiao Yanyan, you're here, Yan Qingja waved to her enthusiastically as she got out of the car. Morning, Xiao. She hugged her hand and said, Xiao Yanyan, it will be Christmas in a few days. At that time, the school will hold a Christmas party. Xiao Yanyan, what do you want to participate in the performance? I'm so looking forward to it. That's it, what are you participating in? I won't participate, I'll just watch your performance. She had a look of pity on her face, what a pity. This is an annual party event. But it is a hot topic at the party. I also want to see Xiao Yanyan show off her skills. Mu Qingjian smiled and said, I just want you to participate. You have to work hard. Okay, what a pity, Jiang Mensu may have to steal the spotlight this year. Well, it's okay. When I walked into the classroom, everyone gathered around me. Goddess Mu, you have become the school beauty, haha, you are now the #1 school beauty, and I voted for you. Tianjian was very excited. Zhao Liang patted him and said, Tianjian, you voted too. I voted too, haha. Wow, everyone voted after all, no one is more beautiful than Goddess Mu. It only took one night to reach the top of the list. Although she had no choice but to thank them for their kindness. She really didn't care about competing for the position of school beauty, it was not as interesting as competing for the position of the strong one. A few people were walking on the campus road during the afternoon break, when suddenly a few people stopped in front of Mukinjian and the others. Hey! You are Mukinjian, right? I am. Is there something wrong? Gao Dabu looked at her. She was indeed a beauty, but he already had Zhang Mensu in his heart. Even if you stole Mensu's position as the school beauty, that's all. I heard that your face was disfigured, so your face must have been the result of plastic surgery. Even you, a plastic surgery freak, deserve to be the school beauty, haha. The younger brother next to him also burst out laughing, mocking Mukinjian for being a plastic surgery freak. Other students nearby looked at her face and murmured, Gao Xian's eyes don't work well. Her face does look much better compared to before, but it's said to be plastic surgery, but I'm afraid she doesn't have the skills to do it such a face. That's right. Who doesn't know that Gao Xian is Zhang Mensu's licking dog? He only has eyes for her. Yin Qinjia stood up and cursed angrily, you are so tall, what nonsense are you talking about? Does my little face need plastic surgery? Find me a face like hers. That's right. You and Zhang Mensu are just jealous of Xiao Yan's good looks. Gao Xian lowered his head and looked at them with disdain, Yin Qinjia, Yu Qing, this is between her and me. Just step aside and stay out of the way, or I'll beat you up too. Mukinjian pulled them into her body, oh. Beat me, it's just you and your few followers, you guys are overestimating your abilities. Gao Xian's face turned black with anger, what are you talking about? If you are looking for death, beat me. If you beat me to death, it will be mine. Several followers rushed over and were kicked several meters away by her. It scared the passers-by so much that they stayed away. Gao Xian rushed towards her in anger, but Mukinjian kicked him away without any fancy moves. I saw him being kicked into the green plants in front of him. He shook his legs several times and fainted. What a terrifying foot strength, a man as big as Gao Xian can fly so far with just one kick, what a bullshit. It's more than just cowhide, the strength of these legs is terrifying. I didn't expect the goddess to know kung fu. She turned around and said, Xiao, Qing, let's go. Yin Qinjia followed her, damn, Xiao Yanyan, you are so good. I thought you were good at catching ghosts, but I didn't expect you were good at fighting. She couldn't help but use foul language. Xiao Yan, if you were a boy, I would be fascinated by you. Yu Qing looked like an nymphomaniac. It's okay, it's just that they can't bear to fight, she sighed helplessly. After all, she only dared to use one level of strength, because no matter how high it was, she might accidentally kick someone to death. But I'm sure they broke at least a few ribs. After all, those who dare to humiliate her are better off alive. If this group of people were in the past, she would directly destroy them. If it weren't for the laws in this world that protect them, they would have died several times earlier. They should be grateful that they live in a peaceful world. It didn't take long for the news of her beating up Gao Xian to spread throughout the school's teachers and students. Even Gao Xian's mother and 3 sisters came directly to the school. After all, he came from old age and had a son. After having several older sisters in succession, he was the only one born until they were adults, so he was a very favored little overlord. Now that they saw that he was seriously injured and had several broken ribs, how could they possibly endure it? When she was called to the principal's office, several women were crying to the principal. Woohoo, principal you must seek justice for my Xioxin, a woman in her 50s cried. Yes. Principal you don't know. My brother is still lying in the hospital, unconscious. Whoa, my poor brother. Principal, you have to be responsible for my brother. After that, he gently beat Principal a few times seductively. Principal was beaten several times by her, who she thought was cute, and he coughed desperately. This woman is so strong, she wants to kill him. Haha, I will give you an explanation for this matter from the Gao family. Principal could only smile. He really doesn't want to see these 4 women anymore. Who can carry them away? He couldn't stand it anymore. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Lugo Meyer. Chapter 108. Chapter 108 The Duel Between Two School Beauties. Mukinjian couldn't help but get goosebumps when she saw the scene as soon as she came in. She couldn't imagine how Principal he could cry in front of this group of monster-like women. It's hard to describe how good-looking he is, but he's also tall and strong. But acting like a little woman is really unacceptable. Principal, you have something to do with me. Gao Xian's mother saw her and said, "You are the Mukinjian who beat my precious son." What's wrong? What's wrong? You hit someone. You dare to be so arrogant. I'll beat you to death. You dare to hit my son. After saying that, he rushed over. Now she finally knew what it meant to not be a member of the same family, not to enter the same family, and to be virtuous. Another kick flew away. When the 3 women saw their mother being kicked, they also rushed over with their teeth and claws. After a while, the ambulance carried out 4 tall and powerful women. Principal He's mouth twitched, "That, little ancestor. Can't you be gentler?" He was just thinking about someone who could save him and carry them out, but he actually carried them out. Oh my God. This wish came true too quickly. Oh. It's indeed very light. I'll go back if nothing happens. If anything happens, let them go find my grandpa, Mukinjian said lazily and casually. Seeing her leave neatly, he regretted a little why he asked her to come over. Wasn't this just to find something to do for himself? When Mr. Bo received a call from Principal He, saying that Mukinjian beat the mother and her son unconscious and sent them to the hospital, he worriedly asked him if Mukinjian was injured. When he found out that she was intact, he felt relieved and said that he would beat her as soon as possible. If it's nothing serious, don't call him, go directly to his lawyer. Anyway, Bolao knew that her child never took the initiative to cause trouble. It must have been someone else who provoked her before she took action. Looking at Mr. Bo, who was covering up Mukinjian's crimes, he felt so miserable that he couldn't express his sorrow. Finally, the whole school knew that she had beaten Gao Xian's mother and 3 sisters into the hospital. Who could offend her now? If you don't agree with someone, just kick them, and people will come in vertically and go out horizontally. There were many people who wanted to cause trouble for her, but they were eliminated in an instant. After all, it was not cost-effective to send herself to the hospital to vent her anger on Zhang Mensu's behalf. The Zhang family was originally withdrawn from cooperation by Han Yexuan, which made Zhang Yiwan unhappy with her. When she came to school, she heard that her position as the school beauty had been snatched away, which made her hate Mukinjian even more. Who knew that Gao Xian's family were all idiots, and they couldn't even teach them a lesson, so they grew so big in vain. Mukinjian was working in the classroom when Zhang Mensu came to the door of her classroom. Everyone sees 2 school beauties meeting each other, and a fierce fight is bound to happen. Mukinjian, come out for a moment. Tanyuj couldn't help but said, "Who are you? Come out as soon as my master comes out. You don't want to lose face, come in if you have the ability." She stood up, tisk tisk, the younger one just entered the hospital, and the elder one caught up with him. "What's wrong? Are you going to go to the hospital with them to see the scenery?" Zhang Mensu shouted arrogantly, "Mukinjian, if you have the ability to fight me this afternoon, I'll wait for you in the gymnasium. Don't be too arrogant. If you have the ability, rely solely on force, don't play tricks." A wicked smile appeared on her lips. "Oh. Pure force. Okay. It's just a good time to stretch your muscles. I accept it. It's interesting. Nowadays, people who want to be beaten like to find someone in front of them. If you don't accept it, wouldn't it be a shame for others who want to be beaten?" As soon as she left, Everyone immediately surrounded her. Tell her that Zhang Mensu is a black-level taekwondo master and ask her to pay attention. I have participated in countless individual competitions and won the championship award. Now Mu Qingjian finally understood why she wanted to use pure force. Qing Qing knew that she couldn't beat herself with spiritual power, so she planned to use pure force to beat herself. In the afternoon, everyone rushed to the stadium to find the best seats. After all, a duel between two major school beauties is too rare. A group of people were running in a hurry, attracting the attention of many people. Bo Yi and Han Dongling, who had just returned to school, looked curious and asked someone casually, "What happened at school? Where are everyone running in such a hurry?" The boy said excitedly, "Senior Bo, Mu Qingjian, and Zhang Mensu are dueling in the gymnasium." So everyone rushed to the gymnasium anxiously to watch them fight. "Ah, Xiao Yanyan is fighting with others." Han Dongling was extremely happy. "Brother Bo, let's go and have a look. I have never seen your niece's martial arts." Bo Yi chuckled. He had seen it before, and he had been beaten many times. "Does this Zhang Mensu deserve a beating? How dare you ask for a fight with Xiao Yanyan? The relationship is purely because you want to fight?" The two of them followed the large group to the stadium and found a seat in the front row, but there were actually no seats left. But who told them to be handsome? The two girls gave up their seats directly. Zhang Mensu was wearing a taekwondo uniform, and Mu Qingjian was wearing a simple sports and leisure suit, with her long hair casually. As an ancient person, her hair is basically long to the waist. Her hair had never been cut since she came here, so her long, straight black hair made Yin Qingja envious. Han Dongling looked at her and said with envy on his face, "Wow, Brother Bo. Her face seems to be even more beautiful. I really love her appearance." Bo Yi tapped his head, "Be careful of Brother Xian asking you to fight, unless you want to fight him." When he thought of Han Yexuan, he swallowed subconsciously. He, forget it then. Just treat it as if I didn't say it." This year he was tortured by Brother Xian a lot, and he would beat him until he would lie in bed for several days every time. His grandfather kept praising Brother Xian for playing well, but it was really difficult for him. She made a gesture and extended a hand. "Bring it on." Zhang Mensu's face instantly became serious, and he kicked her left leg straight towards her waist. She directly raised her hand to block it, but she didn't feel that her arm was numb. Not bad. The strength is good. Zhang Mensu then turned around and launched a backspin kick towards herself like a whirlwind, but Yi was caught by her. During the fight between the two, it seemed like she had the upper hand. No. Why is Mu Qingjian attacking? She is just guarding and avoiding. Yes, it seems that Zhang Mensu is better than her. Can't she beat her? More and more people are questioning it, feeling that Mu Qingjian can't beat her. At this moment, she suddenly dodged, turned sharply, and tapped her toes. He turned 360 degrees and kicked her horizontally, attacking Zhang Mensu at a rapid pace. With a snap, she fell to the ground on her back. Unwilling to do so, she immediately rolled back and stood up, covering her chest with anger. He raised his leg and rushed forward. Mu Qingjian immediately raised her leg to fight back and knocked her down with a forward kick. Just as Zhang Mensu was about to turn over and stand up, Mu Qingjian's high-pressure leg struck her down in the air. She had no choice but to immediately raise her hand to block it. Unfortunately, her kick was so powerful that Zhang Mensu dodged it. But the floor was beaten to pieces, and in the end she was pressed directly under the floor by Mu Qingjian. You lose," her red lips curled up into a faint smile. Zhang Mensu stood up unwillingly. "Sooner or later, I will defeat you." "Ah, Mu Qingjian won. Awesome, so awesome, Mu Qingjian. Mu Qingjian." Everyone was shouting her name crazily. This fighting scene was really shocking. I didn't expect that goddesses could be so dashing and handsome when fighting. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Lugo Meyer. Chapter 109. Chapter 109. Famous directors. Bo Yi came over with Han Dongling. Xiao Yanyan, why did you start a fight with her? Yes. Yes. But you were so handsome when we fought just now, as powerful as brother Xian. Han Dongling's eyes were shining. It's okay. In fact, she's not bad either. Among girls, she's pretty good. Mu Qingjian untied her hair tie and let her smooth hair fall on her shoulders. Yin Qingja and others also gathered around. Xiao Yanyan, how great. Let's go, class will start soon. She looked at them with a smile. In a blink of an eye, she already has so many friends, which is actually quite good. A few people left the stadium talking and laughing, completely unaware of what kind of hot searches today's fighting scene had caused. The scene just now was posted to the website early and successfully entered the hot search list. The duel between the two school beauties of Daihuang Academy in the first capital was very shocking. This Weibo video successfully became a hot search. The entire video process is extremely high definition, and the fight scene between the two is also stable. After watching the entire video, I no longer have any words to describe it, so I can only describe it with one sentence: I am relying on cowhide. The appearance of the two young ladies is worthy of being the school beauties of Daihuang Academy, especially the young lady in a sports suit. Her appearance is comparable to that of all female stars in the entertainment industry. Ah, I love it, I love it. Are you ladies filming a school movie? I want to know the names of the ladies, I love them so much. Please reply online. I, a student of Daihuang Academy, am honored to tell you that this is not a movie. It is a real fight between school beauty Zhang Mensu and school beauty goddess Mu Qingjian. The scene is more exciting than the video. I am also a student of Daihuang Academy, and I would like to tell you that Zhang Mensu, the beauty of the school, is a black satin in Taekwondo. Goddess Mu Qingjian actually defeated her, demonstrating what a perfect goddess is with her strength. This wave of videos has also successfully attracted a director from country M, who is in need of a perfect goddess from country H. You must be able to write and be good at martial arts, and most importantly, you must be tall and good looking. He searched all the female celebrities in country H, but there was no one who could catch his eye. Those who have good looks have no height, those who have height have no good looks, and those who have height and good looks have no foundation in martial arts. Either they are all actresses who have undergone plastic surgery. In high-definition movies with no beauty and no filters, these female celebrities will simply die. He requested that the goddess from country H should have a real height of no less than 175 centimeters, which directly beats 90% of the female stars from country H. Now that he has watched their fight video, there is no PS or beauty filter, so he confirmed that Mu Qingjian is the goddess he is looking for. He finally found her contact information after a lot of hard work, and after looking at her personal information, he realized that her background should not be underestimated. When Mu Qingjian received a call, it was from a man who spoke the M slang. After chatting for a while, he understood his purpose. Okay, see you tomorrow, I need to think about it. Okay, bye. Then he hung up the phone. Bo Yi drove the car and asked with a puzzled look on his face, who is calling? Why are you speaking the M language? A director named Descruya said he was interested in my martial arts videos. He invited me to play an important role as a supporting actor and said I must agree to it. I said I would think about it and let's talk about it when we meet tomorrow. Bo Yi was so surprised that he almost stopped driving the car. What? Director Descruya. Mu Qingjian didn't understand why he was so excited. Please pay attention and drive well. I don't want to die young. Ah, Xiao Yanyan, don't you know Descruya, he is the most famous director in the country. If we say who makes the best movies, it must be Descruya. It's a blessing to be able to act in one of his movies. Once he makes a movie, the box office will be over 10 billion. You must promise him. How can you miss this good thing? Boy, I was very excited. Mukinjian drank milk tea and said expressionlessly, "Oh. Then you can accompany me tomorrow. I think you seem to like him very much." Boyi blushed. "He is my idol. He is rich, powerful, and a famous director. Being able to see him or participate in one of his movies makes me laugh even when I sleep." "I didn't expect you to be so good at it. Do your grandparents know?" Mukinjian couldn't help complaining. Boyi rolled her eyes, knowing that she was thinking wrongly. "What are you thinking? This is the relationship between fans and idols, nothing messy. Who told you that idols can't be men? Okay. Let's go together tomorrow. Your dream will come true." Boyi did not take her words seriously. After all, director Descruya wanted her to participate, and it was not him. Although Bogia has seen enough, he doesn't just look at these external things, they basically have to be able to catch his eye. Boyi couldn't sleep all night, and he was excited when he thought about meeting his idol. When he finished practicing early, he knocked on her door, asked her to get up and eat, and then set off to Country M. He had already bought the plane ticket. Mukinjian has already cultivated to this level and has already been inched, so she just changed her clothes and came out. After all, she has been busy practicing recently and stabilizing her cultivation. After the two of them had finished eating, they went to the airport and headed to Country M. Boyi, who had not slept all night, was still full of energy. Looking at him in excitement, she had no choice but to close up and rest. When they got off the plane, a tall and powerful foreigner held up Mukinjian's name. It's such a conspicuous location that it's hard not to see it. She brought Boyi to his side and spoke smooth M language. "Hello, I am Mukinjian, and this is my uncle Boyi." The man looked at the super beautiful Mukinjian and Boyi in front of him and said, "Hello Miss Mu and Mr. Bo, I am Jerry, please follow me." "Hello." "Okay, thanks." Jerry smiled politely and said, "You're welcome, Miss Mu is the most beautiful female star from Country H I have ever seen. No wonder director Descruya asked me to pick you up in person." Mukinjian smiled, "Thank you for the compliment. I'm not a star, I'm just an ordinary college student." Jerry looked surprised. "Oh. So that's it? No wonder I haven't seen you." A few people got into a stretched luxury car, which had everything they needed. He was indeed the most luxurious director. A few people chatted all the way and finally arrived at Descrua's villa. Since the villa was too big, the group of people drove for more than 10 minutes before finally reaching the gate of the villa. Boyi was particularly excited when he thought about meeting his idol soon. Jerry led them into the house, which was decorated in a multi-element design, not to mention quite unique. A man stood up, looked at Mukinjian, stretched out his hand to hold her, and gave her a gentle hug. "Hello, Miss Mu, I am Descrua, who is this?" Mukinjian stood next to him and said, "Hello, Director Descruya, this is my uncle Boyi." He stretched out his hand happily, "Hello, Mr. Bo." Boyi held his hand excitedly and said, "Hello, Director Descrua, I am your fan." "Haha, really? Thank you for your hard work on this journey. I have asked someone to prepare lunch for you. Please come with me." "Okay, thanks." "You're welcome." After saying that, he led a few people to the restaurant, where the two of them had a standard, noble and elegant meal, which made him full of praise. If you are a child from a wealthy family, etiquette education is good. End of this chapter. The contemporary academic god is secretly a charlatan. Author, Lugo Meyer. Chapter 110. Chapter 110 Invitation to make a movie. After a few people had finished their lunch, Descrua explained the theme of his movie. Ms. Mew, the movie I made, The End of the World, tells the story of the arrival of zombies. When the male protagonist encounters danger, you play an important role in saving people, and you appear in many scenes. You play the companion role. There is still one man left, and I am still choosing. After all, there are male celebrities from China who are good at kung fu but are not too short, but there are too few who are good at kung fu. Discruya was a little hesitant. After all, these two countrymen were very important figures. Mu Qingjian looked at Boyi and said, Mr. Discruya, I have a star to recommend to you. Who? Does he know kung fu? He should be taller and more handsome. He looked at her happily. She pointed at Boyi, what do you think of him? Discruya looked Boyi up and down and nodded with great satisfaction. Does Mr. Bo also have kung fu? Mr. Bo looks really good, and his height is no different from that of us countrymen. Boyi touched his head and said with some embarrassment, yes, but I didn't accept the movie. He stood up and slapped him on the shoulder. That's great. I really want to see the kung fu of your country. Can Miss Mew and Mr. Bo perform a performance for me? Of course, Mr. Discruya. The two were taken to a training ground, and he happily held the camera. Miss Mew, Mr. Bo, is this place big enough? If it's not big enough, I can change to a bigger place. Mu Qingjian looked at the training ground of several hundred square meters. Okay, Mr. Discruya, let's get started. Bo Yi rubbed his nose and spoke in Mandarin. Xiao Yanyan, are we really fighting, or are we just acting? She took a good stance and said, of course it's a real fight. Let's take a look at the results of your practice this year. Don't take me lightly. He immediately looked serious and said, okay, then I'll get on. After speaking, he attacked her quickly without any sloppiness or recklessness. Discruya was shocked when he watched the fight between the two. This is completely different from the fighting scene in the video, but this kind of fighting is more popular. He was so excited that he almost couldn't control himself. What a skill. Really good at kung fu, these two are the kung fu masters he is looking for. They will definitely attract everyone's attention when they appear on the stage. Especially the fight scenes are so touching. He could hear the sounds of fighting and the cracks on the ground, they were all real. Until Boyi was knocked to the ground by Mu Qingjian, she pulled him up. It's not bad. I've made a lot of progress this year. He, really? Mainly because Brother Xian taught him well. He touched his head shyly. It was the first time she praised him, so he felt embarrassed. Discruya clapped his hands and applauded, it's really wonderful. Mr. Bo, please be sure to participate in my movie. I look forward to cooperating with you very much. We are also looking forward to cooperating with Mr. Discruya. After all, it is our honor to participate in your film, Boyi said politely. He smiled and said, haha, really? Jerry, take Miss Mew and Mr. Bo to the room to familiarize themselves with the environment. I will prepare things for tomorrow's shooting. Please be sure to take Jerry with you wherever you need to go. Mu Qingjian nodded, okay, you go ahead. Watching him leave happily, Jerry stepped forward and extended his hand gentlemanly. Miss Mew, Mr. Bo, please. Okay. The two of them came to the room on the second floor and let Jerry do his work. He will be called if necessary. As soon as he left, Boyi immediately laughed happily. Haha, I am so happy that I can participate in my idol's movie one day. Okay, look at you, just like a child, she sighed helplessly. Hee, isn't this so happy, Xiao Yanyan, why don't we go to Country M tonight? Yeah, that's okay too. Mu Qingjian took out her mobile phone and dialed Han Yexuan's number. Hey. Xian, what are you doing? I'm thinking about you, what's wrong, Jing-er? After hearing this, Boyi left her room with a face full of dog food. Xian, Boyi and I may have to stay in Country M for a while recently, so Xiao and Grandpa will need you to take more care of them. Han Yexuan thought about not being able to see her for a while, then Jing'er will make it up to me when she comes back. After all, you just came back not long ago and you went so far away again. Okay, I understand, then you should be busy first, let's talk tonight. Mu Qingjian hung up the phone, her heartbeat racing, and she couldn't help but think about what kind of compensation he wanted. At night, Jerry took them out shopping. Although they are from H country, they only attract attention when walking on the road, and they will not be watched like in China. While walking around, suddenly the crowd in front of me started to flee in all directions. Jerry stood in front of Mu Qingjian and said, "Miss Mu, let's go quickly. There seems to be danger ahead." After all, it was his duty to protect their safety. Discrua valued them so much that he could not let them get injured in the riot. She saw it with her consciousness. It turned out that there was a bank nearby, and the kidnappers were committing a robbery inside. "I'll go take a look, you guys stay nearby and hide." Jerry wanted to stop him, but Boyi pulled him down. "Mr. Jerry, Xiao Yan has the ability to protect herself. Let's just wait for her here." "But, she is just a girl." Boyi looked at her with a firm face, "But she is not an ordinary girl, and as people from the H country, we cannot ignore her death." She approached slowly, then pretended to be in the wrong place and walked to the door. The kidnapper guarding the door looked at her, surprised for a moment, and then raised his gun. "You came in." Mu Qingjian pretended to be afraid. "Don't hurt me, I'll come in by myself." The man looked at her with a squinting look. "Boss, I caught a good-looking woman from country H who just passed by the door." The man known as the boss looked at her with a smile on his face. He strode over and lifted her chin. "Very good, she is the most beautiful beauty from country H I have ever seen. If she sells it to those rich people, we will be rich. Let's tie her up." Mu Qingjian was held by the rebels' hands, and people on the side guarded her to prevent her from escaping. There were 5 people in total, and she only had 3 coins in her hand. You can knock down the person next to you, knock down 3 more people, and leave the last person behind. But after all, spiritual power cannot be used, otherwise this supernatural phenomenon cannot be explained. Mu Qingjian broke free from the rope and knocked out the bandit next to her with one palm. Then 3 coins flew out quickly and hit the acupuncture points of the other 3 people. They fell to the ground and could not move. The robber reacted very quickly, raised his gun and shot at her. "You are looking for death from the women of country H." The machine guns kept firing, scaring the people inside to hide in the corner and tremble. Looking at the man's crazy behavior, Mu Qingjian dodged to the side, picked up the gun on the ground, and shot him in the thigh. Ah, the moment the man blinked in pain, she hit his hand and the gun fell down. She stepped forward and kicked him a few times, knocking the man unconscious. "Ah, thank you God for blessing us, thank you so much beautiful lady, it was you who saved us, if it weren't for you we would have gone to see God." Mu Qingjian several kidnappers. "You're welcome. It's a small effort. You call the police to deal with them. I'll leave first." She left and disappeared without a trace before they could reply. Boyi and Jerry saw her back safe and sound. "How's it going?" "It's okay, let's go back first." When the 3 people left, this matter also made the news, and everyone was looking for this beautiful hero from country H. End of this chapter.